Good afternoon, everyone. Thank you for attending today's webinar, Grasping the Fast-Growing E-Commerce Opportunity in East Africa. Having one of the most digitally connected populations in Africa, Kenya is emerging as a promising area of opportunity for online retailing. 4 featured speakers from Kenya: Dr. Eric Ruto, First Vice President of Kenya National Chamber of Commerce and Industry, Mr. James, President of Union Africa Private Sector Organizations, and Ms. Wambui, Chief Executive Officer of Retail Trade Associations of Kenya, and Mr. Samuel, of Chief Executive Officer of Importers and Small Traders Association of Kenya. This speaker is going to share Kenya's e-commerce landscape and provide insights for Hong Kong SMEs to tap into the country's consumer market through online channels. May Dr. Eric Ruto, may you start, please?
My name is Dr. Ruto Eric, the first Vice President for Kenya National Chamber of Commerce and Industry. And indeed, today, we are delighted as a business community in Kenya to share our insights on digital trade and the opportunities that are available in the East African region, Kenya and Africa at large. At Kenya National Chamber of Commerce, we offer various services, and one of them is to provide networking for business opportunities, which one of these events that we're participating today is one of our core mandates. Definitely, I'm honored to address this webinar for today. And I would also like to appreciate my colleague speakers. And to start with is James Mureu, who is the immediate Chamber Vice President for Kenya National Chamber of Commerce. He left to me and is currently at the African and Private Sector Organization as a president. I would also want to appreciate Ms. Wambui Mbarire, who is the Chief Executive Officer for Retail Traders, and someone Karanja, who is the Chief Executive Officer for Small Traders and Importers of Kenya. Let me go quickly into today's topic. Before I go into that, myself also, as I'm a business person in the healthcare industry, I run a network of medical services with a total inpatient capacity of 150 beds, both in the capital city, Nairobi, and another city called Eldoret. Now, equally also, we have a pharmaceutical distribution company under the same company. For today's presentation, let me start with an African view. So if you look at the screen, and I want to start with the average size of the African e-commerce market. And before I do that, if you look to the east of the African region, we are an economic bloc of 6 countries with a population of around 170 million. Kenya being the largest economy with approximately $97 billion US dollar GDP. Equally also, Kenya belongs to other regional economic blocs, which will also be very important for digital traders and e-commerce business people. We belong to COMESA, which is approximately 20 countries with a population of 450 million. And recently, we did sign as a country and ratified the African Free Continental Trade Area, whereby you could be able to access all the market for Africa with a total population of 1.3 billion, composed of 54 countries. If you look at the digital market, you can see where the concentration is in the East African region, where we are, side concentrated to the northern side and to the southern side. And according to the current size, is estimated that we are approximately 16 billion US dollar in terms of e-commerce. And this one is projected to even double by the year 2025. And as you know, Africa's population is a youthful population, 75% are youth. And it's going to create 3 million jobs that Africa needs. So this is the right place for you to be there. In terms of a little bit of statistics, you can see the growth that by 2025, from today 2020, the e-commerce will have doubled. One of the key issues that I wanted you to have a look at is you can see which are the sectors which are driving digital trade in our region. We have fashion, we have electronics, we have toys and hobbies, furniture and appliances, food and fashion care. And this one is one of the, these are the drivers of e-trade. And when you come to the East Africa, specifically Kenya, one is that Kenya is one of the leading countries, not only in Africa, but globally in terms of embracing digital trade. As you know, Kenya was one of the first countries to have come up with mobile money. There is a famous M-PESA, whereby we are able to trade with mobile money from whichever place we are in the country. And currently it is estimated that the mobile users in Kenya is approximately 24 million users. So this is, in terms of growth, you can have a look at it. Currently we have approximately 300 million digital users in Africa, out of a population of around 1.2 billion. So that's approximately 30% of that population. It is projected that in the next 5 years, the users of e-commerce in Africa is almost going to double, and we are going to be somewhere like 45% of the Africa's population by 2025. So if you are in the digital trade, this is the right place for you to be there. And why is this one? Why is this happening? Definitely, I think the whole world is going global. One of the issues that we have had as a Chamber of Commerce is to do a research and see why many people are going into digital trade, of course, lowering costs. And one of the other advantages is better targeting and more personalization, passive earnings, especially for the young population. And I would want to quickly move into the state of e-commerce in Kenya, which is specifically here in Kenya. So the cross-border e-commerce is a large appetite for products that are not accessible within Kenya. These products are mainly ordered via e-commerce platforms, such as eBay, which I think is an international, I think one of the largest companies after Alibaba. We have AliExpress and Amazon. Export in Kenya via e-commerce is popular, and there is especially a large appetite from Europe, Asia, definitely Hong Kong included, and China for African authentic products. And as the Chamber of Commerce, definitely we shall be looking for opportunities for listing of these products from our region so that they can be sold through the digital platform to your region. And equally, definitely, we are also happy to develop trade for you to be able to access the market that we have here in Kenya. To continue with the platform of the digital trade in Kenya, so the domestic e-commerce ecosystem has steadily been growing for the last couple of years, attracting more local players, which think of marketplaces adapting into the context. And also even the traditional businesses of brick and mortar, we've seen quite a number of them embracing a number of digital trade. And here in Kenya, we are mainly, the digital trade is mainly based in large towns such as the capital city Nairobi, and another city called Mombasa, and is focused on selling the fast-moving consumer goods, which is also facing fierce competition from informal retail trade. We have a number of players in the domestic platform, and for the traders from Hong Kong, we shall be very happy for you. We have over 100 digital e-commerce platforms at different stages, but I'll just mention a few. We have one which is called Trigger Foods, which is very active in the agriculture sector. We have others such as SocoWatch, a stock exchange solution provider that informs retailers of the market prices of different consumer goods. And of course, international players such as Alibaba and AliExpress that I mentioned. We have other players such as Copia, which was able even to raise $26 million US for it to be able to expand its services. We have Sky Garden, we have Kilimall, which I think is a Chinese digital trade platform, and Africa Sokoni. We have Jumia, is one of the largest that we have here in Kenya, and most of them are based in the large cities here in Kenya. For that one, for anyone who is interested to supply goods and services, we are definitely happy to introduce you to these different digital platforms. And if you want to have joint venture and joint partnership for purposes of expansion in the digital trade, Chamber of Commerce and Industry, we shall be able to provide you with that information. However, there are several other bottlenecks that is hampering the growth of digital trade here in Kenya, which I think the traders from the Hong Kong Trade Council, we can be able to do a joint project to see how we can be able to surmount this. Of course, trust amongst consumers, whereby consumers are not definitely don't know what they're going to buy through the digital online. A lack of reliable data. We have very few or plausible data in terms of digital trade in our region. That is somewhere where we can work together and see how we can grow this business for the benefit of the two countries. One of the key issues that I think we have to work on in terms of commerce is the high shipping and delivery cost, especially most of the time the digital trade is concerned on small units, and therefore they are not able to order in terms of bulk. So we must work on logistics, high import duties among these East African borders, thinking of clearance fees, taxes. Those are some of the things. Opportunities not only lay in Kenya, according to Brookings, inter-African trade is approximately 17% compared to your side where you are doing 59%, and Europe where it is approximately 70%. Definitely this is set to change as we sign the African Continental Free Trade Area, comprising of 54 countries. This one is going to jump into 52%. So therefore, this is a huge opportunity that any trader in the digital platform should be able to watch what is going to happen in this continental economic bloc. So although the uptake for e-commerce in Kenya has remained relatively low, as compared to more developed countries in the past, the expansion definitely is very rapid. We've seen what has been able to be done in the mobile technology. We've been able even to protect the developed countries, including China and Hong Kong in terms of mobile money. I think we were one of the pioneers. So it's a market that definitely is always prepared to change. In terms of definitely the value that we're having now, the digital trade in Kenya is approximately 1,097,000 US dollar in terms of volume. And as I had given the Africa's projected data, that figure definitely is going to double. And if you are interested in the East African economic bloc, we are definitely 50%. So you can quickly project that in the next 5 years, most likely that figure will go to 4 million US dollars. I want to just bring a small comparison between ourselves and Hong Kong. In terms of the users, it's going to be projected that we are going to have 32.1 million users of e-commerce. I want you to compare that with Hong Kong and see the opportunity that you might be able to face. Currently, Hong Kong is doing 6 million. That's 6 times what we're able to do in Kenya. And in terms of the number of users, I think, of course, determined by population, almost, I think, 90% of Hong Kong's population is able to access digital platforms. In terms of e-commerce, 6.5 million. So by 2025. So if you compare that, in the next 5 years, the number of users in Kenya is going to be approximately 6 times, 5 to 6 times higher than the number of users in Hong Kong. So this is a very big opportunity for any trader who is thinking about electronic commerce. I would like to thank you for listening to me. What I would say is that Kenya and East Africa is the right place. Our environment in terms of ease of doing business is a free market. You're able to do your business in our region very well. This is the right time. There is a lot of rapid growth. This is where companies enjoy double digits, triple digits in terms of growth. This is the right place for you to be able to grow your business. And I want to humbly request, especially our partners in Hong Kong, that in terms of for us to be able to cover the balance of trade, we have quite a number of products that we have here, so they can be listed in your digital platforms. Secondly, also we want to invite Hong Kong and China manufacturing companies to be able to come here, especially in the agricultural sector, in the pharmaceutical sector, in the building and construction sector, and machinery, so that they can be able to come up with factories, so that we're able to process products both for local market, African market, and export even to the Asian region. Thank you very much for listening to me, and I hand over to the moderator, Melissa Howe. Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Eric, for the presentation. Now, may I invite Mr. James to present. Mr. James, please.
Thank you very much, Dr. Ruto, for that very elaborate presentation. I really want to appreciate you and the Chamber of Commerce, the President, Mr. Richard Ngatia, with whom we've worked very closely and with whom we left this big responsibility of the Chamber to. I think you guys are doing a good job. We appreciate that. I also want to appreciate the fellow panelists, Samuel Karanja, Wambui, and my friend and good brother, Omar Sadiq from HKTDC. I want to appreciate HKTDC for putting this event together. I think at a time such as this, we need to be more innovative. I think if you ask me, right now we're in a small room, but we are reaching so many people out there. Traditional way of doing things was we would be sitting in a big room full of people. And I think this is our new normal. We are going to continue working this way until this COVID menace is over. Just speaking from where Dr. Ruto has left, I think it is important, and now I'll be looking at this whole episode from the African perspective. He has brought the localized issues and touched on a few of the continental issues. But one of the things that I know that we must be alive to is the fact that no longer will things be the same. This COVID-19 has taught us that we must reinvent ourselves. And those of us who do not re-engineer ourselves, unfortunately, will be left behind. So where do we run to under this very terrible situation? I think to many people, when the first time I experienced a Zoom meeting, it looked so abnormal that I am actually talking to myself in one office and almost assuming I don't know who else is out there. But today, getting into a meeting such as the one we are in is a very normal thing. It has taught us a lot of things. So just getting back to this issue, the issue of how e-commerce and online business presents an opportunity to Hong Kong companies, I think this is a no-brainer. We all know that this is the new way of doing things. What we can do is look at the statistics and possibly position ourselves so that we are able to take advantage of the situation as it is. Today, after the COVID attack, I think a lot of people have learned what it is to shop online. One of the biggest online activity that we noticed was when there was complete lockdown and people had to stay indoors. I think the online business then took a very big upswing, and many businesses have made their profits, some even increase their profits because they are able to sell even products cheaper because they are all online, as opposed to somebody driving to a bottle store or a supermarket. If he can order online and there's delivery, it works out a lot cheaper. So those are the things that we must start addressing ourselves to and looking at cross-border transformation and doing things that will help us continue living as best as we can. Again, Dr. Ruto has alluded to the fact that we are currently, as a continent, having about 400 million internet users. And to me, that is an opportunity for anybody who is looking at positioning their products in the market, in the African market, in the Kenyan market. You look at these numbers, the numbers don't lie. The continent has about 1.3 billion people in the continent. That's a big enough market to excite anybody who's looking at the continent. With the emergence of online technologies, Africa is then joining the world in the digital economies. Estimates suggest that 264 e-commerce startups are operational across the continent. And these are active in about 23 countries. Again, these are areas that any business investor would be targeting such startups and building on their strengths. According to the UNCTAD, United Nations on Trade and Development, it estimates that Africa had 21 million online shoppers in 2017. 50% were from Nigeria, Kenya, and South Africa. The rest of the 50% is shared across the continent. And for me, that tells you the fact that we are internet savvy, we are tech savvy as a country, we are potentially a very good target for anybody who is looking at this. Then you want to look at the revolution that's taking place in the continent. With the advent of the African Continental Free Trade Agreement, this offers a big opportunity for anyone, anywhere in the world to trade with the African continent. I need to stress here that we are looking at more of people, companies positioning themselves in the continent to manufacture from the continent and to distribute within the continent. There are certain trade facilitations that are available to people who come, companies that come to manufacture. They enjoy certain benefits from tax holidays to other incentives that are given by various countries. But what is lacking, and I must stress this, is for us as African continent to benefit, we must look at the policy environment, the infrastructure, and accelerate this to adopt the e-commerce as a way of doing business. Obviously, not everybody is moving in tandem. And I think as a developed nation, Hong Kong and other developed countries can look at how they can position themselves to empower the various countries that are left behind in terms of digital marketing and space, so that we are all able to enjoy these benefits. I want you to look at also, there's a can you just go, is it back or forward? Just back a bit. There's a slide, yeah, that slide that just tells you the growth of the internet use. And if you look at where we were in 2006 and where we are in 2018, we have actually closed this gap such that we are actually operating almost at par with Europe in terms of internet connectivity and penetration. But what is it that we're lacking? It is the products that we're lacking. So if we position the products in the market there, then we are likely to enjoy these trade benefits. There are certain challenges that go with this continental free trade area. The area that we find ourselves highly challenged is expensive connectivity. Just go to the next slide. Expensive connectivity within the continent, so that you find there are still countries and places in this continent that don't have proper connectivity, internet connectivity. And so, again, the challenge is those who are providing internet and those who are providing internet solutions. There is a gap here that really, if properly utilized, will turn into business. Policymakers also need to improve local and global payment solutions, so that as far as possible, position payment solutions within the system and interoperability so that you can operate within the same market space without hustling too much. In terms of opportunities, I look at, again, reports. I mean, these are research reports where we say with 50% of the continent expected to have access to internet by 2025, online shopping could account for 10% of the retail sales. And 10% of retail sales in a population of 1.3 billion is good enough. If you look at the CFTA, the consumer, the 1.27 potential consumers, 1.7 billion potential consumers, also offers a big opportunity for the internet online procurement. There are other benefits, of course, associated with the young population that is savvy, tech savvy. They don't believe in going to supermarkets. They are happy to be served at home without too much of a hassle. I also want to just share the next slide, which is the online, the volume of online shoppers, and you can see clearly Nigeria and South Africa have taken the lead. In fact, it does not surprise me that both Jumuiya and Mall of Africa are online shopping platforms owned by Nigerians and shared in Africa. Obviously, that also tells me that there is an opportunity for other online platforms that either can be developed in partnerships with a Hong Kong trading development company, and we can look at positioning this in Africa for Africa. I think if you look at what COVID-19 has also done, really it has opened us to new opportunities. And they say in every dark cloud, there's a silver lining. And I see the silver lining in the fact that there are opportunities that have come where now people who hitherto were having to go long distances to shop around can do that from the comfort of their homes. I've just given a case study of Jumuiya and Mall of Africa in the next slide. Not that one, the next one. Is that the one? Next one. Next slide. Yeah, that's a case study of the two of the top leading online platforms. And you can see Nigeria, Jumuiya, owned by Nigeria, is looking at the value of about $500 million. And it's currently having about 150,000 unique visitors every day, generating a 28 billion revenue, and this can only continue to grow. And for me, the players out there is a big opportunity in the continent that offers that's on offer, and we can auto take this. I want to just go to, I think, my second last slide, which is showing the items purchased. You can see the main items, and this is not by accident. If you look at the main items purchased online, you will see it is electronics and clothing items that take. And why is this so? Because the young tax, the young generation, the millennials, the under 35s are quite happy to do this online. They are able to procure this from the comfort of their homes. They want to be fashionable. The fashion is out there, and they will procure this online. So there's a big opportunity out there. Then I have one hot e-commerce ventures. The other just shows you how Jumuiya has impacted the African continent and why we think that the opportunity of online platforms and e-commerce is real and big. So as I conclude, and I think that was my last thing, I want to just say that there is nothing as good or as dangerous as an idea whose time has come. It's time for e-commerce. It's time for us to play in that space. It's time to engage. It's time to stop worrying about COVID-19 and make the best of this situation. At the moment, I can only say we have been given lemons by way of this COVID-19. we must try and make the best lemonade the world can taste. Let's engage. Kenya and Africa is ready to engage. There's a big opportunity in Kenya, in the East African market, in the commercial region, and the African Continental Free Trade Agreement. I thank you, and I thank you, Omar Sadiq, for inviting me to this forum. Thank you.
Now, may I invite Ms. Wambui to present?
I think it's a very optimum time to have the conversation around e-commerce. COVID, as we have said in our local retail, COVID was the wake-up call for e-commerce. We have had opportunities to move from 0 to 100. I know of an outlet that used to have an online presence but had no business on it, and has been able to move on the first day in the first month of March from 0 transaction to 3,000 transaction in a day. So it is a good time to be having this conversation. So RETRAK is an association that represents formal retail, which is approximately 30% of the total retail market. We do look to be representatives of a sector. We call ourselves the voice of the retail sector. We look to empower the retailers. We look to advocate, to lobby, to offer training facilities, and generally to create best practices for the sector. Next slide. So I'm looking to speak to the East African sector. We have approximately 540 million people. The consumption, according to Oxford, should be growing towards over 400. This was 310 was about 3 years ago. It is now probably at $500 billion, and this spending will go to 2025, will definitely be over the $500 mark. Next slide. So to know our African consumer, and this will be regardless of which sector of Africa you're looking at, we have 50% consumers being women and youth. They run the consumption element. The majority of them are between 18 to 39 years old. They are employees, they are business owners, they are farmers, they are casual workers. These consumers all need competitive prices, good quality products, availability and variety of products. And Mr. Mureu mentioned this, that seems to be one of our challenges. Optimum customer service, delivery of goods on time and in full, great promotions, offers, and discounts. Those are the expectations of the African consumer. Next slide. So the existing channels in the market currently, we have the informal sector, which is the largest. We say the informal sector is upwards of 70%. We fluctuate between 67 and 70% of the total retail market. A lot of them are ambiguous and small, normally expensive, and they have limited variety, and they lack the procurement muscle to be able to get better prices on behalf of their consumers. Then we have independent modern retail. This is basically brick and mortar, and a lot of that brick and mortar will be supermarkets, which are based in various sectors, be it in the informal, be it in the peri-urban, be it in urban, be it in the rural areas. We have independent, small-scale brick and mortar. And then in the larger, what we call formal sector, we have supermarkets. Now the supermarkets will be found, again, brick and mortar, found in basically urban areas, a bit of the peri-urban, but they will then have a larger square footage in their operations. And then we have the growing sector of the e-commerce. And this e-commerce, though it is its time, we've seen the challenges that have existed within the sector. The target market for the e-commerce are middle and low income, but they have challenges in most cases on access of data. We are highly connected in terms of mobility, mobile phone usage. But then there's always a challenge of data and internet. You may be able to afford data only to communicate to somebody who's a child or a relative abroad, but you don't really have enough data to go in and do purchases. The same applies to internet. And then we do not have a proper working postal system. That has been one of the greatest challenge of e-commerce in our country. We are limited to, so if you talk about Jumia or Kilimall, they operate within urban areas, and specifically the large urban areas. In my speaking, I normally call e-commerce challenges of Nairobi, because that's where it has really taken root, but it still has a long way to grow to be able to reach the other areas. And this has everything to do with the postal system. We don't have an address system that would allow you to deliver to the rural areas. Again, the lower income and lower middle income customers will also lack, again, just speaking to that address of deliveries. Next slide. So personal income distribution in Africa by 2020 per day. You see the largest element is less than $1.25 per day. And this has an impact on the ability to consume. That ability to consume anything that is online. We are still at a stage where I say we are still very pocket-led. So we are looking to eat today and to sleep today and perhaps clothe and educate our children. And this has an impact on the e-commerce element. Next slide. So Africa consumer expenditure trends. If you look at this, the largest sectors within retail in Kenya that are growing in Kenya and in East Africa, basically FMCG, that would be food, beverage, and interestingly, tobacco, are things that really do go within our sector. So anyone looking to come into this sector from Hong Kong, I would say the target market, the largest target market is FMCG, even as we look into clothing and electronics and household cleaners, but FMCG is really the target market right now. Next slide. So online retail or e-commerce. So Africa is currently the fastest growing mobile telecom market in the world. Almost half of all Africans report to being online at least once daily. And this provides avenues for consumer spending and marketing. We do have variations within East Africa on accessibility of that connectivity. And this can have an impact on your bottom line. But it is a growing sector. It was valued at 5.7 billion in 2017. And this continues to grow as the connectivity of the indigenous people grow. As the purchasing power is increasing, this will also have an impact on the usage of mobile power, the usage of online, the affordability of online retail. And as Mr. Mureu said, as we grow and as we get more educated, people are understanding that it's actually cheaper. One of the things we've seen during COVID is that growth in ordering online. The realization that milk is milk, and if you order milk, you will get milk. The issue of trust does not really arise, and that helps in the growth and creates an important market opportunity. Next slide. So COVID came with its own challenges, and again, I think it has been mentioned here. It awoke the fact that I do not have to go to brick and mortar to get household routine purchases. And this has greatly uplifted our commerce, especially in the urban areas. And we see Jumia now being able to deliver, Jumia, Global, all being able to deliver outside the urban areas and into the peri-urban areas. At the same time, we see new indigenous e-commerce growth. I'll mention Copier here. Copier has grown as e-commerce, and it's e-commerce in, shall I say, an indigenous way. They're able to identify rural area pickup points. So you can get onto their platform and order your produce. They deliver it to your nearest pickup point, and then you're able to pick up that. That is the kind of e-commerce that can actually really have a very large uptake as we go. As we work towards sorting our address system, e-commerce in a local manner, e.g. Copier, will create new opportunities, and they have a whole range of rural areas that they have already set up with. So if you have products that fall in the FMCG and are able to do partnerships with people like Copia, you will have a very large market to which you'll have access. And I know they're looking to operate within the whole of East Africa, and perhaps by 2025 have reached the whole of Africa. Next slide. So in conclusion, I'll say competition in Africa is increasing. And as highlighted, and this is highlighted by the entry of multinational corporations, including Walmart, Carrefour. We've had Massmart looking to spread across Africa. However, the limited saturation in consumer markets, especially in fast-moving consumer goods, luxury goods, and online retail, reveal Africa's growth potential. Countries such as Nigeria, South Africa, Ethiopia, and I'll say even up to Kenya are ready for increased production and distribution. And business leaders and investors should be encouraged to fulfill growing demand and household consumption while managing the challenges to create high returns. Entrepreneurs and policymakers alike need to seize the moment of Africa consumer markets, as well as embrace the challenges that can be overcome with the right consumer-driven challenges. We've seen in reports again done on African e-commerce, the average consumption per day in South Africa is about $109. In Kenya and East Africa, generally we see it's about $42. That can be grown, and it's grown by exposure and the availability of the right products online with the right produce. I think I will end my presentation there. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Wambui. Now, may I invite Mr. Samuel to give a presentation?
So thank you, the moderator. And thank you, Mr. Omar Sadiq, for inviting me and my fellow panelists. Well, as my panelists have said in the introduction, we are living in unprecedented times whereby the world has become a global village. And so the services also and goods can also travel across, the world without a lot of people traveling. And so it has provided a very big opportunity that must be harnessed. And as the CEO of Importers and Small Traders Association of Kenya, we as an association, we are an advocacy association for small, medium entrepreneurs. We speak on behalf of the small scale traders, influencing policies with the government and making sure that SMEs remain afloat in their businesses. When you look at the statistics here in Kenya, we have about 98% of all the businesses in Kenya are small, medium entrepreneurs. So it means collectively we have 100%, category of businesses. 98 are under the category of SMEs. So 2% only are in the category of the corporates. That means that SME play a very big role in making sure that the country's economy remains afloat. And so ignoring this sector is to your detriment as a country. I would like to state categorically for our members, we have over 20,000 direct importers. And these 20,000 direct importers, they are consolidators. That means that in one container, you're going to find like 50 or 80 traders. And you find that they have been given a lifeline. That means that the people who cannot be able to afford to bring what we call the FLCs, the full load containers, can be able still to become importers and bring in cargo from Hong Kong, from China, and from Dubai. And we have a large group of traders who bring cargo from Hong Kong. When you look at, let's go to slide 3. We have categorized the products, the imports from Hong Kong, and you can see that there are so many products that come from Hong Kong, especially imports in Kenya. And you have the capital goods, you have the machineries and the electronics, you have the intermediate goods, the consumer goods. And across all these goods, including even the costings and also the percentages, you find that most small, medium entrepreneurs, you're going to find them in each and every category of goods. You're going to find some of them are bringing in machineries, some of them are in electronics, some of them are in chemicals, textiles, and clothing. And you're going to see the huge number of trade that is happening between Hong Kong and Hong Kong, China, and Kenya. And these are statistics of 2018. When you look also at the same statistics, you're going to find that a very huge number of our traders, they trade with footwear. And I remember the other day we influenced a policy with the government of lowering the taxes of footwear. So you find that the trade between Hong Kong and Kenya is growing because of the demographics of small medium entrepreneurs who are venturing into this sector of importation. Now, as I said earlier, with over 20,000 members, and I want to narrow down to the practicability of how we can be able to go about it. You see, the 20,000 members can be able to bring approximately 500 containers on a monthly basis, and that's something that has been happening in the past. And so the competitive advantage is that we can work with organized groups who want to come to Hong Kong and be able to get, connections or business connections from suppliers and also from manufacturers directly from Hong Kong to be able to patronize their goods and bring them here and supply them here in this market. So you find that if we are able to do that, you're going to offer small scale traders opportunities through consolidation of goods to become importers without having to bring full load containers, as I said earlier. When you look at the demographics, and I think as a good number of our panelists have been able to come to that conclusion, we have a very vibrant millennials between 20 and 30 years, and I can extend to 45 years. And with this influx of that demographics, of that age group, you find that there are so many online transactions which are happening. And so there are so many online suppliers, and there's a heavy presence of e-commerce targeting 75% of the Kenyan population who can access to the online platforms. Now, when you look at the challenges that we go through and the challenges which can be encountered, we have lack of controlled online platforms built in for suppliers and manufacturers, comprising credibility of e-commerce. So because of that lack of control, you find that some suppliers who are online, they cannot be trusted with the goods, and we have instances where whatever you order for is not what you get. And so we should have a very well controlled, credible online presence whereby the manufacturers can be vetted and given credentials before even they venture into the online trade. So due to the above, we experience long shipments, as I've said, of goods after order have been placed. So we also lack credible online payment platforms, hence compromising trust. You find that Kenya is very vibrant, and we use M-Pesa and an online money transfer platforms, and it's very credible in this part of the world. But internationally, we have lacked that kind of credible online payment platforms, and you find that some of our traders have experienced difficulties paying directly even to the suppliers. And so there are some ways which are being used which are not credible. And so you may lose your money when you're trading. And so if we can have very well organized online payment platforms whereby if I am a trader and I get your goods, I want to purchase your goods from the factory or you are a supplier, I can be able to know that that money is going to get to you, and you can also be able to present to me real-time receipts and documentations which shows that I've been able to engage with you on that money platform. Let me talk about the latest trends that we are seeing. COVID has, as my panelists have said, have really opened avenues as to which we can be able to trade. And you find that there's an emergency of online trading platforms providing opportunities. And I think one of the panelists have talked about Jumia, Facebook, also eBay, and they have provided these good platforms. And people even are using Facebook and Twitter and WhatsApp platforms to be able to trade. When they go to the status, they're able to post their goods there and to reach the people within their contacts. And so there's an emergency of an influx of those platforms. And also due to enhanced internet infrastructure in Kenya, young people can also be able to display their innovations inventions, goods, and services through various online platforms with ease. With those demographics, and those people are very vibrant in terms of their presence in the online, we have seen young people coming up with serious online innovations, applications, creating of applications, and even goods and services, serious innovations which have been able to be displayed there. And because of that, we can harness that group to be able to push the products that we have in Hong Kong through the market. Also, a growth in efficient interactive online outlets, encouraging online transactions through purchase payments, timely receipts, accurate goods, which are patronized by about 14 million people in Kenya. We have had, and I think there's a panelist who has talked about an online platform whereby we have Trigger Foods. Yes, I was looking for Trigger Foods, whereby you're going to find the people who are in agri-business can be able to sell their goods, and whatever you purchase for, and because I have patronized their service, you can be able now to receive those goods with the accuracy, the purchase, the payments, and timely receipts of those goods. And if we are able to come up with such platforms which are credible, I think the tradings which are there can be able to take place with efficiency. Now, lastly, let me say this: Kenya, being a consumer-based economy, heavily rely on imports, thus providing opportunities of upcoming importers. As much as we really want to build our cottage industry, we have seen that we cannot kill one sector to build this other sector, and you can also see how heavily we rely on products from Hong Kong and other countries. If we can be able to harness platforms whereby we can be able to bring this trade to a reality. Being a consumer-based economy, we have so many people who are reliant on electronics, reliant on clothing, reliant on cosmetics, and we are going to have, it's a huge market with huge potential. We also have a vibrant entrepreneurial culture of young people with access to internet. And that means as a young person who is 18, who has already left school, university, can be able to access, to such services from Hong Kong and trade from their comfort. And so it's important for us to know and to take advantage of this vibrant demographic of young people. And also provision of efficient process of clearing cargo with clearing cargo to and also come into partnership with government agencies. One of the things that has happened in the past, especially in Kenya, is that the government has been able to engage the private sector and make sure that the clearing processes which are happening with a lot of efficiency. And so with that, it is easier for a person to buy small portions of their products, what we are calling consolidation, from Hong Kong and from China, and bring it in the country and clear those goods in the shortest time possible, with the saving of time and also saving also of the taxes, because the government has also issued tax incentives to SMEs who are able to do that. Because right now, initially, what could happen is that when you do have a consolidation of goods in one 40-foot container, you could wait for the entire container to be cleared. But today I can access, to maybe small portions of cosmetics from Hong Kong and sell them and import them in Kenya and actually pay them to KRA, to Kenya Revenue Authority, which collects our taxes, and get my products in good time. So I think the key takeaways is that it is important for us to be able to harness the opportunities which are there, and even my panelists have said that, opportunities which are there, and with the demographics which are there in the country, we cannot go wrong. And so it is important for us to partner, and I believe that we are going to go a long way to make sure that this becomes a reality. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Mr. Samuel. Okay, then now let's move on to the panel discussion. And our moderator, Melissa, economist from HKTDC Research Department, is going to lead this panel discussion. Melissa, please.
Thank you. Hi, everyone. And thank you to all the speakers for their wonderful presentations. I'm Melissa from the HKTDC Research, and I'll be moderating today's panel discussion. So our speakers have in fact highlighted the e-commerce landscape in Kenya as well as Africa. So in the coming 20 minutes, we'll look into more details of some of the recent developments and explore the role of Kenya in the African market. So hopefully we can give our audience a better understanding on how to navigate the local consumer market. So one of the most unprecedented events that happened this year, and particularly to the retail sector, is the COVID-19, which has brought upon many challenges for the retail sectors. So it can be divided into two different aspects. One is on the brick and mortar stores, and the other one is the e-commerce. So maybe I'd like to spend a few minutes on the impact on the brick and mortar stores, like the traditional retail sectors. So what's the situation in Kenya's retail sector at the moment? And what are some of the key impacts on the brick and mortar stores? And more importantly, what we want to know is how are the businesses are adapting to this kind of disruption? So maybe each speaker could give 1 point to the question.
Maybe I can start with what we call the formal retail sector. From the onset of COVID, we realized we have actually two sectors. Retail can be divided into two sectors, what we now call essential retail and what was non-essential retail. So the non-essential retail continued to operate, and the essential sector continued to operate. The essential sector was specifically anyone doing the supermarkets, for example, anyone doing food, doing home consumables, that continued to operate. Non-essential retail was specific to fashion, to books, optics, for example, and beauty as well. That tended to have taken a serious hit because a lot of people were not spending, they were holding on to money for not knowing what is coming next. The interesting thing to note that during that sector, especially in my formal sector, we realized that furniture moved a lot. And I guess it has everything to do with people having been spending more time at home. So furniture moved a lot. Home appliances, yes, furniture did move a lot. We kept saying the men are spending more time at home and realizing that the sofa sets the settees are not as comfortable as they imagined they were. And then people are not eating out, so they're cooking more at home. So you had a lot of electric home appliances also grew. And the other interesting one was bicycles and sportswear and sport equipment, because gyms were also closed. So a lot of people were doing exercising at home, taking rides into the parks or just across your neighborhood. So those two sectors moved. The other thing we saw is a lot of people who didn't have online presence actually created online presence. So a lot of online activity across all of retail. Anyone who had one but wasn't using it activated it. Anyone who didn't have any then set up an online presence or attach themselves to an online partner. So if you didn't have, you either set up your own or you signed up partnership with Jumia or Glovo, just to give you that access to the market.
All right, maybe if I can just continue from where Wambui has left. I think one of the clear setbacks that COVID brought about was low traffic. Because of this confinement, people have to stay away from home. I have a little granddaughter who kept saying, when is the president going to allow us to go shopping? And so they're thinking, when are we going to go out there? So there is low traffic. So there are people actually who have not been able to sustain their businesses because of low traffic. I mean, you have to pay rent and sell very little. So really, that's one of the brick and mortar effect. I mean, there's no one visiting these places. So there are some, unfortunately, there are some small to medium scale enterprises that may shut down forever if we don't do anything about them. So it's a very unprecedented time that you find even people who were doing well pre-COVID days have suddenly gone down, and they don't have adequate traffic to sustain their businesses. So that is one of the areas that really have adversely been affected. On the other side, the increased there's boom in the fact that most people are now connected. There is an expense to it, though, and the irony of this is, at a time when some people are losing jobs, is when these opportunities are being presented. So it's a difficult situation where you're expected to be online. The kids have to study online, so you have to have enough data bundles and so on and so forth. So it did present a big challenge. And to the extent that then families then started looking at what is priority, what can we do without? And that's why, as Wambui said, we started now looking at the very essential ones. If you look at people who are selling stuff like you said, fashion, movies, cafes that were running and were running hitherto very well, most of them have shut down, and until something else changes, they will probably remain shut down for a long, long time. So yes, there were those effects. The online people some of them are celebrating, but there are supermarkets. My local supermarkets fellow laughs all the way to the bank, because at the beginning of the COVID-19 effect, there was panic. We didn't know how long it was going to be, and there was panic buying. So the supermarkets did a boom time. But then we realize now things have normalized, but the regular visits and people go and buy more than they really need. Some of the food stuff goes off because people don't want to take chances. But yes, there were those effects along the way.
Thank you. And I can also add to where Mr. James has left. Another thing that we have experienced is that we have experienced an overstretched online services. You know, there was an influx of now demand of the service, online services. So you find companies like Safaricom, Zuku, plus other service providers who give online services, internet services, sorry. You find that, they were overstretched, and because every house, demanded for you to have, internet. And so with that now, it also creates opportunities, because many times you find that when you're in the house, majority, and you are like 4 or 5 people in the house, the better time of the day, you're going to be online. And so you have to scroll through and, to explore the online, world, and see many opportunities which have arose. And so when it comes to retail, especially some of the members of our association were affected so much that they had to close their shops. And so with that closing of the shop, they had to think out of the box to remain in business. And so what they did, they had now to create their online platforms, which are very interactive. And by that creation now, their sales went up. And I think Ms. Wambui has said that some of them came from 0 to 3,000 sales every day. And so it is a reality that actually happened, and it's happening right now. And so it is mandatory right now for you to be in business. You have to have a very strong online presence. If you don't have a very strong online presence, people are purchasing from the comfort of their homes, from the comfort of their offices, and they don't really need to go, to retail stores. So the brick and mortar is highly, affected. And I think in the future, it's going to close down, because what will come up is innovations whereby I can walk through your store from at the comfort of my office and purchase. And we have seen such technologies happening in the US through Amazon. I can walk through Amazon, through a retail shop, and actually put whatever I need to buy to the cart and pay online, and I can be able to receive my goods. Thank you.
Okay, thank you very much. Not to repeat what my colleague speakers have said, definitely there has been almost 3 phases of the effect in the retail sector. As a chamber, for the first 3 months, we did a small survey, and we found that up to 80% of businesses were affected in one way or another, especially in terms of the turnover. But something that we saw as a chamber, which was, of course, very good, is that there was a little bit of movement from the formal retail stores to estate or suburban areas whereby you could find businesses coming up. In the 6 months into coronavirus, you could see people selling their wares in vehicles, but we've now even seen much more retailers coming up in the small residential areas. So that is one of the, of course, we can say a silver lining is that services have come much more closer to the consumer. Of course, in terms of online trade, there has been a huge increase as in to respond to this COVID-19 pandemic. And of course, definitely, there are other things in terms of manufacturing. Because of supply chain has been affected, we've seen a number of small manufacturing coming up because they realize that they're able to produce goods locally. So that is another area that you could be able to partner to increase the capacity of these small manufacturers that came up due to COVID-19. Thank you.
Thank you. So despite the challenges for the traditional retail sector, the COVID has in fact expanded the scope for e-commerce. So in terms of new platforms coming up for different channels for buyers to sell online, or new consumer segments, or even product categories. As Ms. Wambui has mentioned about like different essential and non-essential products that are becoming more popular online as well. So my next question would like to ask is, in your opinion, what are some of the key drivers in supporting the growth of e-commerce in Kenya? Or it could be some of the prevailing drivers that happened before the pandemic, or are there any like new drivers that happened during the pandemic that could help to sustain the growth of e-commerce in the country?
I think one of the greatest driver is the nature of our very youthful population. And I think it's quite widely known that Kenya has a very mobile savvy population. We have a young population that is highly internet connected. So they are able to look out for new opportunities, and their presence online creates an extremely big market because they are more often than not online. So they are more often than not able to see any offers that are coming. That has been a great drive, and that's pre-COVID and now during COVID, because they're spending more time at home. School is online, so once you finish school again, you're technically online all the time. So it has doubled the amount of time they're spending online, and that is definitely a very strong driver of e-commerce within the current period.
I can also add to what Ms. Wambui has said. We have also seen a lot of competitive internet services, and so it has yielded to efficient internet infrastructure. So most of the internet providing services companies, they have improved their services because of the demand and also because of the competition that is there. So you find that like what you get from Safaricom, what you get from Airtel, plus other mobile data companies, they are giving very competitive rates, and also they are also opening up new products which can be able to access to the internet. They're also coming up with innovations whereby you can have your modems and you can access internet even in the most remote places of the country. And so with that, now there's a wide coverage of online presence in the country.
Yeah, maybe I'll just add something here and say innovation hubs have also mushroomed, and the youngsters, as Wambui said, they are tech savvy. They have gone into high-speed innovations and things that they can't get outside, the things that can't be imported. I know the young man who has just innovated. He's making his own cables, charging cables and small battery packs, because this became a new normal where people need to have access to their mobile phones charged, fully charged. So innovations have become a thing of the day. And you also look at the comfortable delivery of services to the comfort of my house. I can order groceries, I can get my products delivered to the comfort of my house. And that comfort in itself is encouraging the market to actually drive more towards this home delivery. So for me, I think this will continue. This is the new normal now. And to the fear of those who may think that we'll never go back to the old ways of doing things, I think this is going to be the new normal. It's comfortable. It's good to know that I can sit at home, order my stuff. And before that, I think it was just food, takeaways that used to be delivered. Now you can have your laundry. There is somebody, I saw my local laundry man has now developed a way of picking my laundry and online, and I tell them what I need done. They will pick it and deliver it. So that home delivery has become a very welcome way of doing things.
Okay, just to add, I had presented earlier the key drivers of digital trade in Kenya, definitely well summarized by my presenters. But I think the other thing is the technology savvy of the Kenyan population. As you know, Kenya is the leading country in Africa in terms of online and awareness in terms of ICT services. So that is one of the key drivers that we have as a country, and there has been a lot of investment by government. In fact, there's a ministry for ICT specifically to handle these digital issues. So definitely Kenya is in the flight mode in terms of digital trade. Thank you.
Allow me please to just add one thing that just comes to my mind, the re-engineering of processes of doing things. I think that's also becoming prevalent in the country. There is a lot of processes that are now being re-engineered, and rather than being done this way, they're being done this way. And that's a big part of the renovation experience that we're going through. It's a very welcome idea. And so I'm seeing the silver lining in this whole dark cloud, and it could be the new way of doing things. It is also important to say that this online business is far cheaper than the delivery. If you think about the hidden cost of going to a supermarket, you have to drive your car there, you have to park and pay parking and then drive back. I think if you look at the overall household package, then really it works a lot cheaper for me to have an online presence, a little bit maybe higher price of product A, but if you look at the overall cost, it's a lot cheaper for the household. Thank you.
Thank you. I've also seen a question here for me. What do you mean by what is capital goods? Capital goods are, goods which produce goods, or rather, goods which you don't need to go directly, they don't need to go directly to the consumer. You're going to find that there are so many goods which are coming from Hong Kong and to be assembled here in the country. And I can give an example with home gadgets or appliances, whereby you don't need to come up, you don't need to import maybe a microwave, but small parts of the microwave, and you assemble them in the country. It becomes cheaper, number one, because of the taxation. And also when it's done, that is also creates, we are trying to move from a lot of reliance on importation, but also create, local manufacturing. And with that, now we are also increasing the technology in the country. And so you're going to find that there are so many goods which are producing other goods. That means that they are like raw materials, but definitely in the category of they come in smaller bits to be assembled in the country to come up with the appliances or gadgets which are needed directly to the consumer.
Thank you. Since we are running out of time, I'll quickly move on to the next topic that I think would be interesting for a lot of foreign businesses or Hong Kong SMEs, would be the Kenya's role in East Africa. So when a lot of foreign brands or retailers looking to tap into the East African market, they will actually choose to establish a presence in Kenya first, no matter it's like through online or offline channels. For example, we see the Chinese consumer goods Miniso, or like the French sporting goods Decathlon. So I'll direct this question to all the speakers. So in your opinion, why is that the case? Or in other forming another way is like, what role or function does Kenya play in helping businesses to expand to other East African markets? So maybe each speaker could spend maybe like 30 seconds to 1 minute to answer this. Thank you.
Thank you. I can start by saying that the government has been able to facilitate importers or investors with the ease of doing business. So there is a one-stop shop whereby all the documentations which are needed for you to be able to trade in the country, you get them in one office. And so by facilitation of the documentation, it becomes easier for you to access to the market. And so you find that the bureaucracies which were there initially for you to get the licenses that you need and the permits that you need to set up a base here in Kenya, they have been lessened. And so it's easier for you to do business in Kenya.
Maybe I can also respond to that and say, as a country, and I also serve, and I must let this be known to you, I serve in the Business Registration Services Board. And in that board, that is charged with the responsibility of ensuring that we fast track presence of small, medium, and large corporates as quickly as possible. We have actually moved and taken up technology, and I can tell you that you can register a business in 24 hours and get yourself started. That is a support we have received from the government, and they're encouraging us to make this almost real time, that you can sit in one-stop center and get yourself organized. It is also good to know that the government has, and none other than the president of this republic, has actually pronounced his position on the support for the SMEs who were adversely affected, because the big corporates will continue one way or the other. But the SMEs and the MSMEs are the ones that are likely to suffer the biggest setback with this COVID-19. And the government is playing a pivotal role. And I want to also salute the Chamber of Commerce for actually availing small amounts of money that is able to keep the SMEs alive to the extent that they have partnered with certain strategic partners, the banks and others, to offer this cushion position for the SMEs. So yes, there is hope, and I think the government is doing its best. It's also faced with so many other challenges, and we can only say we hope that this is not going to be a long, protracted situation, that we'll soon find a solution. But the government is doing its best.
Okay. As I said earlier, we have a 30% formal sector within the retail sector. We are only second to South Africa. So you're asking why Kenya? We are only second to South Africa. So we are very upwardly looking sector. We have a very rapidly growing lower and middle income population that is able to purchase, has a growing purchasing and consumption ability, hence the demand for the Kenyan market. Secondly, we are the hub for the region. So that is why people look into Kenya. If you look into the area, we are most developed in terms of infrastructure, that connectivity, and those are all things that the developed world is looking to come, because it will quicken their ability to integrate into our market. Thank you.
Yeah, I would summarize four reasons why Kenya becomes a hub or the entry point for the East African market. First of all, traditionally, in terms of infrastructure, we have the Mombasa port and the international airport at the capital city. So those are some of the things which have really played an important role. In addition to that, if you look at the World Bank report in terms of ease of doing business in the East African region, we are number 56 out of 190, the best in the region. So in terms of that, definitely, there are a lot of issues and regulatory issues that government has come up with so that business can be done in a very free environment. In addition to that, also we control 50% of the East African economic bloc in terms of GDP. Definitely, I think each and every business person would like to come to a market whereby it's a huge market. The third one is that Kenya, also the business environment is a free market. There is a protection of minority shareholders, protection of businesses. We have a very vibrant business, so therefore you can do your business and you're very safe, and you're sure that whatever happens, if there's any arbitration, we have a very nice judicial system. And finally, of course, the human resource. I think Kenya entrepreneurial spirit, the human resource is there. You can't get it anywhere in the East African region. So those are some of the factors that really contribute into Kenya becoming the entry of the hub for the region and even entry for Africa. Thank you.
Thank you. So I really appreciate all your insights and comments. So I'll quickly pass on the floor to Joyce for a Q&A section.
Hello, thank you, speakers. And we have received some questions from the attendees. So maybe I will ask you some questions from them. Like some company, like for example, a face mask company contact Jumia before, but seems like Jumia, they could only do a central warehouse fulfillment. Is there any ideas, like any other ways they could supply instead though?
Yes, they can be able to supply through contacting organized groups like what we represent. With our huge membership, you can pass through us to reach to our networks. And so you find that any interested trader, they can partner with the mask company and come through our networking, because vastly in the whole country, we have over 70,000. Now, if you multiply that with the people that they are going to reach on a daily basis, you're going to find that you're going to be able to move the masses in terms of your products. So organized groups are there to work with, and it's easier for you to be able to access even to see how even the scorecard of how they are going to penetrate the market. It's going to be easier for you even to market your products to them.
The attendees is asking, it seems like what the attendees is asking is like Jumia are not able to do central warehouse fulfillment. Like is there like any other more ways for this company to supply their products through Jumia?
So basically, Jumia.
Maybe a little bit to come into that in terms of masks and the medical masks, is that one of the issues, maybe that's why they're having a problem with Jumia, is that at the beginning of the pandemic, there was no local capacity. But what I'm seeing, there are quite a number of companies which are producing face masks, both civilian and medical. I think for this company, they would much more benefit, especially if they supply the raw materials to these companies. However, in terms of warehousing, of course, before you do the warehouse, you must have your distribution channel. As a Chamber of Commerce, we can be able to, maybe they can give us very specific details. We can, in addition, of course, to my partners here, the associations, to look for the right partners who can be able to partner with them for local distribution of the masks. Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Eric Ruto. And also someone asked, like, who should I contact to get my product exposure online? Because Jumia will not like buy stock in bulk, and they are like, for them as a supplier, they can't find a reliable buyer. So is there any advice for them?
I think it's the same thing Samuel has said. The best approach would be to approach the market through the organized groups, be it Kenya National Chamber, RETRAK, or ISTA, because then they're able to direct you to who is doing business in that sector. And we are also able to put together 2 or 3 traders who can buy from you in bulk and be able to distribute locally.
I see. Thank you very much. And okay, thank you very much. And it seems like we have answered all the Q&A questions already though. And we have reached the end of the webinar. And then is there anything Melissa wanna share? Okay, then that's the end of the webinar. And thank you very much for attending. And you can also fill out the questionnaire afterwards, so you can share your opinions with us later. Thank you.
Thank you too.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Bye-bye.
Okay, thank